Ah. Mmm. Mmm. Hello, everyone. Merc's Rain here. I have a villager infestation in my house. In the last episode, right, we were working down our path here. We got ourselves the liquid compressor, the pneumatic processing plant. We were able to finally get into the engineer's workbench with this specific blueprint to let us craft backplanes and things like that. So we're making a lot of progress. You may notice that I have this checked off already. I wanted to get this crafted in between the episodes. So I have everything necessary right here on the wall. We'll pull it off for our pressure chamber. Here we are, pressure chamber in hand. We're also going to take our liquid compressor, which also just completed another quest. Why did it complete another quest? That's because we had crafted them technically out of order, which is fine. Let's go ahead and grab our rare pneumatic craft loot box and the scavenger delight. What did we get? Oh, we got some more reinforced brick tile. Guess we got Knopf fiber and a Wixie shard. How about the liquid compressor one? Another epic loot box. Ooh, whoops. We got 2 more advanced PCBs. These are nice because these are kind of a pain to craft. And we got some volume upgrades. I'm not sure what that means exactly. It's either volume of how much air pressure a machine can hold, something like that. And we'll take our pneumatic wrench as well. The air compressor itself is not craftable in the pack. Right, disabled and expert. But it does look like we can get a reward here if we craft a pressure gauge tube module. So maybe we should do this real quick. It probably won't be too difficult, right? Induction smelter, redstone, copper, and silver. Yeah, let's make this real quick. I don't think we have any signalum. Maybe we do. Alright, let's go ahead and store some of that extra stuff we just got. We may actually be using this. And I think it gave us this for a very good reason. A simple redstone cut-off can be built for your new air compressor with a bit of redstone and a repeater. So let's grab this, and we're probably going to try and use it. If you remember, when we had the liquid compressor running, it didn't stop. The pressure was going to keep building. And we don't want that to happen. So we definitely want to be able to turn it off. And here we go. We're going to place this in our basement for now. And, you know, I kind of think we're gonna come down here and make a little space for it. You'll notice down here I have a fancy little farm area. We're gonna do something very similar just for this bit. I think it'll probably just go straight off. And this will not be a permanent location, as I want to have its own building. But for now, this will do. Alright, we now have ourselves a room. And so let's go ahead and make our pressure chamber. I think we want it to be in the center, because we're going to need to have like an input side and an output side, and then probably the front will be how we interact with it. And if we come back over here and look at this, it tells us that we want to build a 3 by 3 by 3 pressure chamber. The manual will tell you how, and I think it's supposed to be hollow, so I think the middle space is supposed to be empty. Let's do it just like that. Alright. Let's put a interface in right here. And another one in right here. Now, the colors are on the same side. I don't know if that is supposed to be the way it works. In the manual, it says that you should have 2 interfaces, one with the I facing out, the input, and one with the O facing out, the output. I think this kind of feels like, right, the input needs to be out on one side, and then the output needs to be out on the other side. Makes perfect sense to me there. But when we just place these down, that is just a blue circle. I don't see an I or an O. So we'll see what actually happens here. We're going to put our piece of glass in the back. We might actually open the back up. And then here is the valve. Look at this. Okay, so right off the bat, I've noticed that this valve is likely where our air pressure comes in. Somehow it already came with a security upgrade. I don't quite understand that either. But we can interact with this anywhere. So I think we're going to want to put our piece of glass in the front. So go ahead and disassemble it. The other thing too is I think we want to disassemble that a little bit as well. So we'll put our piece of glass there. We'll get this ready to have our pressure come in through the back. And then when we place our interfaces, we're going to place them this way. So now we have blues on two sides facing left, and we've got oranges on the other side. Again, I'm not too sure what that means. We'll find out, I'm sure, very soon. Okay, we're going to make the assumption that this is the output, and we're going to make the assumption that this is the input, even though I don't really see a letter I. But anyways, we know that we're going to need to put things in with a hopper. Can I put this hopper here? Pressure chamber interface. Oh, look, I can even interact directly. So if I click over here, I get pressure chamber. If I click here, I get interface. Aha! Interface status. This one says importing items. No problems. What happens if we come take a look at this one? Exporting items. Perfect. That has confirmed the theory. And I really think, though, that we should be able to place a hopper here. There we go. Okay. So this is how we're going to get items in. And we're going to use a chest. And I think we're going to need to open that up. Here we are. So this should let items come in. And then we will have... I think this can just export directly. We'll just put a chest there, put them straight in, and now we need to connect in our pressure. So let's go ahead and get this pipe system set up right here like this, and we're going to place our liquid compressor right here. And what do I expect to see happen? I expect to see our pressure in the chamber start to go up. And I want to have a lever on hand so we can disable the liquid compressor when needed. Okay, let's place it down. Here we are. The pressure in the liquid compressor is quickly going down because I believe it has probably placed it in over here. Yep. The pressure has equalized between them. So this will continue to go. Our redstone behavior is always on. Let's actually say we only want it on with a high signal, so that should actually turn it off right now. Yeah, it does not look like it is processing anymore, so we should be able to put a lever... I don't know, let's put the lever just on the ground right next to it for now. That looks like it has turned it on. We can see our pressure is building. Perfect. We'll let this go for a little bit because we're going to need some pressure. What are we going to try making first? Well, if we look at our quest log, we're trying to get to the refined storage controller. In order to do that, we need to be able to make advanced processors, which come from raw advanced processors. So we could get processor binding, silicon, enderium coin, and flux dust. The other thing that we could potentially try to make first is the condensed iron. No. What's it called? Compressed. It's probably compressed. The compressed iron, right? So this also can be made in the pressure chamber. Looks like we need to have 2 bar of pressure, but it's just obsidian, tar, and steel ingots. Let's try making this first. Oh, look, this is fancy. We can see that there is pressure in the chamber already because of the particle effects. And we also see that we're already up to 3 bars of pressure. So let's go ahead and turn our compressor off. And I have opted, instead of doing the compressed iron ingots like this, we're going to make a block of compressed iron itself. So 9 obsidian, 18 tar, and 2 blocks of steel, which I do have. Here we go. All of that goes in. Was an interesting sound it made. Warnings. Insert valid items into the compressed chamber. Okay, well, it is... Where did this piece of coal come from? So we've got the obsidian going in now. We're going to take that piece of coal out. I have no idea where that came from. Oh, something happened. Our bar is now potentially just below 2. Oh yeah, pressure is 1.93. Oh, and here is our blocks of compressed iron. So it did work. It did work. It was not as easy to see it work, though. But from that craft of 2, 18, and 9, we were supposed to get 4, and we did get our 4. So I call that a success. We're going to need to build some more pressure back in the chamber. So what happens if I put the pressure gauge on here? Does not seem to click on. It's actually called a tube module. This module emits a redstone signal, the strength of which depends on the tube's pressure. So maybe we put it, aha, we can put it on a tube itself. This is how we're going to turn on and off our system. So we're emitting redstone of 5. Although we're not emitting redstone that was able to see. How about this one? Nope. Maybe this is where the repeater comes into play? Not quite. Is it because we're down a level? No. Maybe we need a comparator. We will revisit this soon. But for now that we're above 3, let's go ahead and turn off our system. Reviewing the advanced processor recipe, we can see that we're going to need a new mold, essentially, the pneumatic die. This is actually pretty easy to make. We just need some Invar plates. So let's take a look and see how much Invar we have. We have enough to make our 4 plates. Alright, we've got our die mold, which is perfect. But the raw advanced processor. So this is going to need some things. So flux dust, we definitely have flux dust. And silicon and processor binding. I don't think we're going to have the processor binding. But see, flux, we have 57. Silicon, we only have 11, but they're not hard to make. And then the binder we do not have. So let's see what it takes to make the processor binding. This is just string and slime. That's pretty simple. Okay, there's 16. And the Enderium coin. Oh, so look, we already need to use our numismatic die in order to make this with Enderium ingots. Okay, how do we make an Enderium ingot? Take a look at the induction smelter. This is ender dust, lead, and diamond dust. Okay. Ender dust is made from pulverizing an ender pearl. And of course, the diamond dust is from pulverizing a diamond. Back at our multi-servo press, we can put in our new die mold and the Enderium ingots, and this should give us those little coins that we needed. Enderium coins obtained. Perfect. I'm sure we're going to need a lot of these, but let's just do 4 to start with. So 4 of each of these. Back at our pressure system. Let's go ahead and just turn it back on. Make sure we've got some stuff going. And we can put in our silicon, our processor binding, and everything else. Here it goes. It would be interesting if there was a way to see what was in it at the time. Oh, look at that. So that's interesting. Okay, so the hopper fills the interface And then we see, okay, to keep pressure, right, it opens one side, puts everything in, it closes it, and then it opens the side to let it into the machine. Now everything's in there. And we've gotten everything out. I don't know if there's any sort of like show that you see in here, the items appearing and then getting smushed together. It feels like there is not. But once it's in there, it crafts fast. So it's just the import that seems slow. Now we need to use our numismatic die again with our advanced processor bindings. We're going to do one to start with because I'm curious to see if the die is used up in the craft. It wasn't on the coins, and it probably won't be here. It is not. Let's get our processor and complete that quest. Quest completed. Advanced processor. Alright, so the next thing in our list is the controller. So we have looked at this before, and now that we're looking at it with more experienced eyes, we can see we only made 4 of these advanced processors, but we're going to need 4 more. We're also going to see we need some blue network cable from XNet, which honestly isn't going to be hard to make at all. We're going to need some quartz enriched iron, which I don't think is something we've made, but that's compressed iron and nether quartz. We already know how to make this now, so this shouldn't be hard to make either. We're going to need a logic unit, which again, treated wood, we've got plenty of creosote oil. We can now make the circuit backplanes and the vacuum tubes fairly easily. We're going to need a slime steel ingot, which sounds like it might be troublesome. However, we just see it's sky slime ball. I don't know if we have any sky slime on us right now, but that shouldn't be hard to find. And finally, the machine casing itself, which is another pressure chamber recipe. Pewter ingots, yeah. With a machine frame, this is entirely doable. Controller, here we come. Okay, I have figured out how the pressure gauge tube module works. So we had this on the top before, and that wasn't outputting anything. I tried putting like a block on top and then redstone on top of the block. I tried putting redstone directly on top of the gauge. None of that worked. But if we move the gauge to a side, it will now output its strength. So what do we have here? We're now at 4 bar, and as soon as it goes over 4 bar, it will emit a redstone of 8. And so what have I set up here? So if this is 8, it's 7 right now, but once this goes up above 4, it'll become 8. And this is going to be our shutoff. So this would be 8, would be 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so right now, we're currently operating on, it needs a redstone signal to turn on. But really, we're going to turn this around. So now we want the redstone signal to be off. And if I flip this around, it's going to turn on for a very short period of time in order to put this above. Right, here we are. We can see that this is now off. Our redstone is now 1 because we have gotten to the 8 redstone emit section, and so it's done. So what's going to happen? If we use this again, which we will use it very shortly, I'm sure, this will drop below the 4 bar of pressure. And when it drops below the 4 bar of pressure, this redstone is going to stop emitting 8, right? It's going to start emitting 7, 6, 5, something like that. This will turn off, and when it turns off, this will turn back on. So we've just give ourselves a little bit of automation. It's not pretty or anything at the moment, but again, this room is not a permanent setup. This is a temporary spot so we can start using our machine. Okay, I've got enough to make 10 more of the processors. So remember, what we're going to see here is as soon as this does any sort of processing and loses its pressure, we should see this turn back on. Here we go. Pressure chamber has filled up. Let the item in. And we can actually see it lost pressure when it did that. But this is now turned on. Check that out. We are now burning some refined fuel, making more bar pressure. Here comes the items out of the exporter. There they are. Quick, simple, and now this will build itself back up to 4 bar and shut off. Pretty easy system if you ask me. I have most of the items needed now to make our controller. One of the things was we were going to need some more mechanical crafters. We'll see why in a moment, but we need to use our pressure chamber again real quick. Down here we are. We can see we're back up to 4, and it has turned off just as we expected it to. So in here, we got to put our machine frame, pewter, quartz, and seared brick. What are we making? Well, we are making this machine casing. And this is actually going to make 2, which is nice. Back here, looking at the full craft, I do have all of the processors. I've got all the XNet cables. I've got everything now. We're ready to go. And the reason why we needed 4 more of these is because our current crafting station was missing the corners. This looks like the final bit of craft. Here it is. Removed. All right, we're going to make our way over to our create building. And there, we will be able to perform our final bit of the craft. Also, on the live stream that we just had the other day, take a look at this building we've made. It is not complete yet, but one of the things about it that I'm really happy about is it has a working clock. So it's pretty neat. That's using the create clockwork gear or something like that. But we'll take a look inside real quick. All this is a villager breeder. Pretty standard, 2 villagers in there. They can both harvest the carrots. And if this over here was flipped off, this would allow them to see into this room where the beds are. Right. From there, the babies would come out. They would actually fall down here, and I'll pretend I'm a baby. They fall down into the water stream. They come over here. They get pushed up slightly, but the baby isn't tall enough. But when they grow up, boom, they are now in the other water stream, and they don't want to drown, so they swim up. And this lets them out. This is why I have an infestation in my house. I think we're going to need to come up with a new system for keeping the villagers out. And that new system is going to be just a different kind of door, right? Doors that they're not allowed to open. And we could do something very similar to this, and then allow only players and not villagers to come through, just like we did on this door. Okay, back here, we have our mechanical crafters. We're gonna slot them all into place. And we're gonna have to change this up very slightly, right? Because we do need to place a crafter there. So let's figure out how we're gonna do this. The other thing that we need to note, now that we have these all in place, we're going to need to make sure that they're all pointing in towards the center, which they are now. And now we need to figure out how we run our system over. So we could set up the exact same thing we just had with our gear here. Hopefully facing the correct direction, right? There we are. But if we do this, we need to move our elevator, which is not a huge deal, honestly. And we'll need to move these as well. Okay, we need to get our vertical gearbox set here, and we need to get one set on the other side. But before we do that, let's make sure that they can connect to each other. There we are. This should allow us to go up through. Perfect. Back here again. And then we will pick up our toolbox. All right, this is a pretty large crafting grid, but let's go for it. So it's going to alternate the advanced processor and then the blue network cables. So let's do those to start with. Oh, and don't forget, right now our system is currently set up over here. So let's move it. And now we're over here. We can see everything turning, which is good. Get our slime steel in. Get our quartz enriched iron in. Our 2 logic units. And then finally, the machine casing. Done. Controller obtained. We've done a lot in this episode so far. I mean, look at what we've built behind us. Pretty cool, right? Eventually, we will get a building for this specifically, and probably a lot more things. One of the main things of pneumatic craft that I would really like to check out are the drones. I don't have any idea how they work, but from what I can tell, they're able to be programmed in such a way that they can do very complex automation. So this will be something very interesting to get into, and of course, we'll probably want a home base for the drones to all return to and repressurize. Again, I'm not sure how that works exactly, but we've successfully used this pressure chamber, which I had no idea how it worked, so that's awesome. But even more awesome is the fact that we have the refined storage controller in hand. In the next episode, we will be working to start our refined storage system. Our refined storage system will be replacing the pretty pipe system we have up here. We're going to want all new connections and everything, which means we can't switch to it immediately, right? We still have all of our items and crafting ability set as of right now in pretty pipes. So we're going to need to figure out how we want our new system laid out and then start switching things over after we have enough pieces to do so. The other thing that refined storage will let us do, and actually, if we look at the quest log, I imagine they show us some of this. Refined storage. Yeah, okay, so we need to get all the different kinds of processors, which will then let us get the controller. But we're going to want to get to the automated crafters. This will let us craft on demand. Just normal 3x3 recipes. But then if we get to, where is it? The interface. The interface will also then let us interface, as the name suggests, with other items. So we could interface with our pulverizer downstairs and say, hey, craft us, 9 iron dust, and it will do so. So we are about to hit a very important automation milestone. That will begin in the next episode. Potentially between episodes, we'll have another live stream. We will finish up our villager breeder building off here in the distance, which we're going to run over to real quick. When we finish this off, the next step that we need is we're going to need a villager trading hall building so that we can breed up all the villagers, get them set, put them somewhere else, and start trading with them. It's going to be, I think, important for getting a bunch of items that otherwise could be a pain to obtain. There goes our clock. And that clock is so cool. Thank you for joining me in today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward to the next one. This is Merc Serene, signing off.